What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Sideswipe the Boss, back at it again with another video. Yes, I am back. Well, back talking in videos. I know it's been a while since I've talked in a video. I think I haven't talked in a video all year. So I apologize for that. It's just this year has been crazy and I've been, just very busy with life stuff, but I am back at it again, back talking to you guys, back interacting with you guys, and back to making videos, hopefully more on a consistent basis. So I decided to start out with another tier list. And this tier list is just going to be an updated version of Star Wars live action characters. Since Andor starts in about a week, I believe, I just decided, let's do all the Star Wars live action characters that I can remember at the moment. And this is including both movies and shows. And, I'm just going to put them in a tier list. This is based on my opinion. I don't necessarily hate any of these characters. So if they're like in lower tiers, I don't hate any of them. I just find them, I guess, less likable than, like, say, some characters at the top. But without further ado, let's get into it. And I hope y'all still remember the drill. If you like the video, just hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. We are still on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I believe we're at 960 right now, so we're literally 40 away. My goal is to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. So hopefully, you guys like the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we could reach that goal. I'd be very happy, and I'd very much appreciate any support that you guys give me. So first up, we have Kira from Solo. And she was an alright character to me. She was criminally underused. She didn't really have too much to do, to be honest, other than love interest and second in command to Dryden Voss, but didn't really do much in that role and betrayed him. And you know how it goes if you saw the movie. But she was an alright character to me, so she's going to go in the B tier. Next up, we have the homie Chewie. He's seen it all. He's been basically through it all. And, he's been a GOAT all around. How can you not love the guy? So he's going to go in the A tier. Top of the A tier for me. Love Chewbacca, man. Next up, we have Jyn Erso from Rogue One. And she's also criminally underrated and criminally underused because she was only in the one movie. And to be honest, she wasn't even my favorite character in the movie, but she was still great. She had some great fight scenes, some great moments, some pretty cool speeches, in my opinion, too. And, who knows? Maybe she could show up in Andor, maybe in like a cameo or something. But yeah, I think she's a pretty cool character, and I'd like to see more of her if possible. So she's going to go at the top of the B tier for me. Next up, we have the main man himself, Darth Vader. Basically the looming shadow over the whole Star Wars universe. And yes, I am including Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker as two separate entities on this list. It's my list. You could fight me about it. But, yeah, what can I say? It's freaking Darth Vader. First S-tier character of the list, with many more to come. I am sure of that. Next up, we have Rey Skywalker. Yes, Skywalker. Let's accept it, folks. It's what it is. It is what it is, okay? But, yeah, we have Rey Skywalker. And she's grown on me over the years. I'm going to be honest with you. I was not a fan of hers when the movies first came out. I didn't really care for her character that much. But over time, I, come to appreciate her as a character. She has some pretty cool scenes. And she's the main character of the sequel trilogy. I mean, what can I say? She got the most character development as well. I really liked her character development. And it just proves to you that, anybody can be a hero. You don't gotta be blood related to a Skywalker or a Kenobi or something like that. You can just be a hero no matter where you come from. That's basically her story. And I really appreciate that. So, I mean, I'm going to put her also in the B tier. I do like Kira and Jin a little better, but Rey is definitely a pretty cool character. She deserves more love than she gets. Next up, we have Val from Solo, another criminally underused character who died way too soon, in my opinion. She wasn't even really given a lot to do in the movie. She was just there to crack some jokes and say some suspicious things and then died so randomly, in my opinion. But I mean, I sympathize with her. So she's gonna go in the C tier for me. Next up, we have Grief Karga, my homie from The Mandalorian. And, I like the man. It's like Papa Bear of the series. I like him. He has some pretty cool moments. He's hilarious. What is his name? Carl Weathers. I think that's the actor's name. Freaking love that guy. He's so cool. So, yeah, he's going to go in the A tier for me. Freaking love Grief, man. Next up, we have Bail Organa, another papa of the Star Wars universe. And, he's fighting the good fight in the Senate. I'm not too big on the politics in basically anywhere, in real life, Star Wars, any of that. But I will say that Bail Organa definitely fights the good fight when it comes to politics. And I could definitely appreciate him for that. Plus, he's an excellent father to Leia and basically helped her grow up and become who she turned out to be. So I like the man. So he's going to go in the B tier just below Jin. Next up, we have Krennic from Rogue One, and he's an excellent villain in my opinion. Definitely one of the more underrated ones as well. He's very calculated, cunning, he's very threatening. He talked back in the face of Darth Vader. Who does that? And he survived, at least for a little bit longer, before Tarkin zapped his body into oblivion. But yeah, I really liked him. He's a great villain in Rogue One. Definitely one of the reasons why Rogue One is such a great Star Wars movie. So he's going to go at the bottom of the A tier for me. Next up, we have the homie Black Chrysanthemum. Yes, the Black Air Force Wookiee of Wookiees. And he was also underused in my opinion. When he showed up in Book of Boba Fett, it was really a cool moment, but he didn't really do too much after that. I mean, he had like 2 cool fight scenes, and then he got thrown around in the finale, to be honest. But, if they ever do a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, which I wouldn't be opposed to, I hope they give him more to do and maybe give him some more character development as well, because I'd really like to see that. And who knows, maybe Chewbacca and Chrysanthemum can clash one day. So he's going to go at the top of the C tier for me. Next up, we have Roken from Kenobi, and he was just there, to be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't really care for his character that much. I mean, he was just there, and he kept changing his mind instantly. Instantly. 1 minute he was, no, I'm not doing that, to I'll do anything for you. That took no convincing at all. But I mean, he was only in the series for half the series, so he didn't really get much to do anyway. Maybe we could see more of him, maybe more in Andor, which will make me kind of like the character a little more. But for right now, I'm going to just put him in the D tier. Not a bad character, just I didn't really care for him that much. Next up, we have Sheev Palpatine. And how can you not hate the man? The dude's a menace to society. Man, beautifully played by Ian McDiarmid, and this man was just terrorizing the galaxy in 3 eras. Yes, 3. Did I think he needed to be brought back in Rise of Skywalker? No. But, more Ian McDiarmid just having a good time playing Palpatine. I can appreciate that. And he's just excellent in the role, and he's an excellent Star Wars villain overall. So he's going to go just below Chewie in the A tier for me. Next up, we have Captain Phasma, yet another underused character in the Star Wars universe. Sensing a pattern here. But, she has cool armor, and she had that one fight scene with Finn that was pretty cool. I haven't gotten into the Star Wars comics yet, so I haven't really seen any of her backstory. I mean, read any of her backstory or anything like that. So maybe that would change my outlook on her. But for right now, she's kind of just a there character who never really makes too much of a mark in the Star Wars universe, except she has very cool armor. And that rivalry with Finn was actually kind of cool too. So she's going to go at the top of the C tier for me. Next up, we have Chirrut. I think that's what his name is. Chirrut from Rogue One. And he's my goat. I love him so much. He's my favorite character in Rogue One. Bro just comes with the wisdom in 1 second and the hands in the next second. I mean, that scene where he was beating up the stormtroopers in that little corridor area place on a Jeddah, that's so awesome. I love that scene so much, and he's such a great character. Maybe we can see like a cameo of him in Andor. I hope all the Rogue One characters get a cameo in Andor at some point. But yeah, I love that guy. He's gonna go in the S tier for me. Next up, we have Count Dooku, and he was also kind of underused in the prequel trilogy, if I'm being honest. His backstory and, more character development got fleshed out more in Clone Wars, so I appreciate them for that. But if we're just going off of live action, he was kind of just a kind of cliche villain a bit. He had some pretty cool fight scenes, though, and, he was definitely pulling massive strings that led to the beginning of the Clone Wars and towards the end of the Clone Wars before Palpatine said, nah, bruh, you're not making it. But yeah, he's still a pretty cool villain to me nonetheless. So he's going to go at the top of the B tier for me. Next up, we have Darth Maul. And it's so hard not to include any of his animated appearances because they made him so awesome. But he was already awesome in The Phantom Menace, and we're just going to include The Phantom Menace right now for Darth Maul. But he's just a menace in that movie, lurking in the shadows. He was ready to run over Anakin, like young Anakin, bro. It was on sight every time with him, and he was so awesome. The double-bladed lightsaber is so awesome, and I'm just really glad they brought him back because that would have been wasted potential if he just stayed dead after Episode 1. So he's gonna go in the top of the A tier for me. If I was including his Clone Wars stuff and Rebel stuff, he would have been probably top of the S tier. But just for live action, he's going in the A tier. Next up, we have Haja from Kenobi, another just character in the show. He was funny. That's really it. He didn't really do nothing else. He was just there in episode 2. Well, he kind of served the plot in episode 2, but then in episodes 5 and 6, he was just there. So there's really nothing else I could say about him. So he's also going to go in the D tier, but above Roken. Next up, we have Jango Fett. And, he was awesome in episode 2. He's the main reason why episode 2 is at least a better movie than some people give it credit for. He was a menace to Obi-Wan. He was just showing up, taking names, He captured Anakin and Padme. He was dueling in the dueling arena before he got waxed by Mace Windu. But he's still a pretty cool character. And, that Mandalorian armor is iconic. So I got to also take that into account. And I'm going to put him in the B tier just below Jin. Next up, we have Jar Jar Binks. Look, y'all. I'm gonna have to be real with y'all for a second. Live action Jar Jar, that it's just not it. It's not it for me. I'm sorry. I really tried. I really tried to like him, but I don't know. He just doesn't do it for me. In like his animated appearances, he's fine, and he's actually kind of funny in Clone Wars, so I'll give him that. But in live action, he's just more annoying than anything. No fault of the actor at all whatsoever, but Jar Jar Binks is just not it for me in live action. So he's gonna go in the F tier, respectfully. Next up, we have Grogu from The Mandalorian slash Mandalorian 2.5 or Book of Boba Fett. And, I like him. I mean, what else am I supposed to say? He's cute. Bro be using the Force when he wants. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not in love with Grogu like some people are, but, I mean, he's cool. He got my approval. So he's going to go... I'm going to put him... You're all giving the benefit of the doubt. Put him at the bottom of the A tier for me. Benefit of the doubt. How about that? Next up, we have Supreme Leader Snoke. And this is the definition of untapped and unused potential. Because Snoke was awesome in Episode 7. But then he got killed in Episode 8 before we really even got to know him, know what he can do. And then he just turned out to be a clone for Palpatine's use. So, I mean, I don't know, really. Part of me wants to put him in a higher tier, but then, I don't know, he was very underused. You don't waste Andy Serkis and get away with it. So, he's gonna go at the bottom of the B tier for me. Next up, we have my GOAT, Finn, and he's going in the S tier below Darth Vader. I don't care what y'all say. Finn is the best character of the sequel trilogy, in my opinion. Yes, he was done dirty. Yes, he was criminally underused in episodes 8 and 9. Yes, they were kind of being bogus when writing his character. Actually, no, very much being bogus while writing his character. Yes, they cut out pivotal scenes of him that would have been awesome to see. But John Boyega, he pushed through it all. He acted his heart out. Like, come on, episode 7, you can't not say that was a stellar performance, even with all the writing changes and stuff like that. I believe in my heart that he is the best character in the sequel trilogy, and it's sad that we probably won't ever see him again. But maybe one day in the future, maybe one day John will change his mind and want to come back. But for right now, he's going in the S tier because Finn is my GOAT. Next up, we have Grievous, and man, he was just a lurking shadow all through episode 3 for real. Like, he had beef with Kenobi, which is explored in Clone Wars, but it was on site with them. It was on site on Utapau, and them 4 lightsabers are deadly. Yes, he was trained in the arts by Count Dooku, but he put his own style on it, because ain't no way Dooku told him how to spin them lightsabers like that. But yeah, Grievous is just a menacing character, live action and in animation. But if we're going off of live action, I'm going to put him at the top of the B tier for me. Next up, we have Han Solo, and I like Han Solo. Han Solo's a cool character. Sure, Harrison Ford hated every second of Return of the Jedi, but he still gave that good performance, and he was cool in The Force Awakens too. It was sad to see him go the way he did, but he's a cool character, He's a part of the OG trilogy. Not OG trilogy, OG trio. So you can't really go wrong there. So he's going to go at the top of the B tier for me. Next up, we have Young Leia. Yes, I'm including Young Leia and Adult Leia on this list. Fight me about it. But, Young Leia, she's cool. She's adorable, really. Y'all hate her way too much, because she was adorable in the show. And she emulated, like the actress, she emulated Carrie Fisher in such a great way and did such a great service to the character, in my opinion. And I really enjoyed her in the show. So she's going to go in the A tier above Grogu. Yes, above Grogu. Fight me about it. Next up, we have Padme, another underrated queen of the Star Wars universe. And I like Padme, and I was sad to see her go. Because Padme, I love Padme so much. But if we're just going off of live action, she's going to go under Bail in the B tier for me. Next up, we have Bo-Katan. And Bo-Katan is a menace anytime she comes on screen. Like, she is menacing. And I think she's only had about 2 or 3 appearances so far in live action. I think 2 appearances. Yeah, because she was only in 2 episodes. So 2 appearances in live action. But, she perfectly emulates, the animated Bo-Katan. And, yeah, it's just a copy and paste. It's really amazing to see, to be honest. So she's going to go at the B tier below Grievous. Next up, we have Fennec Shand. And I love Fennec Shand so much because I love Ming-Na Wen so much. So there's a little bias there. But Fennec Shand is an awesome character, an awesome introduction to the Star Wars universe. And, she's just so awesome, so menacing. Doesn't take any crap from anybody. She's ready to kill on a dime just like that. And it's so awesome. Hopefully we get more character development with her one day. Like, see her in a future project or something like that. Because I love Ming-Na Wen so much. So, she's gonna go in the A tier for me, just below Palpatine. Next up, we have Janna, yet another underrated and underused character in the Star Wars universe, in my opinion. I really liked her character in The Rise of Skywalker. She was pretty cool. She had great chemistry with Finn, and yeah, I just wish they did more with her character. Maybe explore more of her background or something like that. I know they did that little tease at the end of the movie with Lando and something like that, so she's possibly appearing in the Lando show if that ever gets off the ground. But I like her character, so she's going to go in the B tier just below Han. Next up, we have K2SO. And he's so funny and so awesome at the same time. Such a loyal droid, but at the same time, he will not let the conversation end without putting his 2 cents in there. And I think that's the best thing about him, in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see him in Andor. Because why wouldn't we see him in Andor? And they'll probably make me love him even more. So he's going to go in the A tier just below Grief for me. Next up, we have Queel. He was in The Mandalorian. He had spoke. And the conversation ended when he had spoken. Okay, that was a pretty bad joke, y'all. I'm sorry. But I like this character. He taught The Mandalorian a couple valuable lessons that he kept with him. And then he sacrificed himself for the child. Rest in peace, Queel. Rest in peace. So you're going to go in the B tier for me. Just below Padme. Next up, we have the Grand Inquisitor. I'm just going to include his live action appearances. And, he didn't really do much in Kenobi. That's probably one of my biggest criticisms of Kenobi, which I have very few, by the way. I love that show. But one of my biggest criticisms about that show is that the Inquisitors, outside of Reva, didn't really do much. And the Grand Inquisitor is kind of in that bubble. And, he was menacing. Those speeches he gave were pretty cool. So he definitely did a little bit more than, say, Fifth Brother or Fourth Sister. But that's all he did. Then he died, or quote-unquote died, and then came back for some reason. But he was still dropping bars, so that was pretty hilarious. And I guess outside of Reva, he's probably the best Inquisitor on the show. So he's going to go at the bottom of the B tier for me. Next up, we have Kylo Ren, and he's my second favorite character in the sequel trilogy. So he's also going to go in the S tier for me. I really liked his story. Despite the babyface Adam Driver casting, he was actually very menacing. And, I really liked that about the character. He was very menacing, but then he also had a great redemption arc. And, he sacrificed himself for Rey. and he reverted back to Ben Skywalker. Now he's one with the Force, and I definitely like that story in the sequel trilogy. He was possibly the best written character in the sequel trilogy, in my opinion. Even though Finn is my GOAT, Kylo Ren is also a GOAT as well. So he's going to go in the S tier. Bottom of the S tier, though. Next up, we have Lando Calrissian. And Lando's a GOAT. Don't get it twisted. I love the man. The man was smooth. What else do I got to say about him? Billy D. Williams is smooth, man. So he's going to go at the bottom of the A tier for me. Next up, we have Luke Skywalker, and come on now, where else was he gonna go, dude? It's freaking Luke Skywalker. I don't even have to say anything else. It's Luke Skywalker, S tier, 100%. Next up, we have Mace Windu, and contrary to popular belief, I actually love this man, so don't get it twisted. Mace Windu is pretty awesome. He was also kind of underused in the prequel trilogy, in my opinion. And, I mean, he was not the cause of Anakin's turn to the dark side. Let's also get that out the way. So he's going to go in the A tier, just below Fennec for me. Mace Windu is a GOAT. Do not get it twisted. Next up, we have Reva from Kenobi. And Reva, she definitely grew on me as the show went along. At first, I was like, alright, it's pretty cool. New Inquisitor, alright. And then, as we got through the show, I was like, alright, he's got potential. And then we saw her backstory, which we kind of called. But, I mean, it was still pretty cool to see. And Moses Ingram is a great actress. She definitely did her stuff on that role for real. And I definitely appreciate her for that. So she's going to go at the B tier, just below Janna for me. Next up, we have Baze. I think that's what his name was. Baze from Rogue One. And he was Chirrut's, partner in crime and stuff like that. He was pretty cool. He didn't really get much in the say of character development in Rogue One, in my opinion. He's actually probably my least favorite of the crew, but he was still a pretty alright character to me, so he's going to go in the C tier, top of the C tier. Next up, we have Poe Dameron from the sequel trilogy, and he was my least favorite out of the trio for me of the sequel trilogy. Like, I guess they tried making him too much like Han Solo instead of, making him his own character. I mean, he still had his pretty cool moments, like excellent pilot for sure, 100%. But, I guess I feel like they should have just committed more to making him his own character, I guess, in a way, more than trying to make him a new Han Solo, I guess. At least in my opinion. He's still a cool character to me nonetheless. Just not on great level in my opinion. So he'll be at the top of the C tier. Next up, we have Qui-Gon Jinn, and putting my beef with Liam Neeson aside, he was an alright character to me. I mean, kind of also underused in my opinion. I mean, considering he died in episode 1, so I mean, there's really nothing you could do after that. And I mean, he was alright. Not really my favorite, but he was alright. So he's going to go in the C tier, just above Phasma. Next up, we have the fifth brother from Kenobi. And once again, the Inquisitors just didn't really do much in the show. And he didn't really do anything at all. He was just there being angry. He didn't even say any, cool speeches or lines or anything like that. He was just there being angry. I mean, that's really it. What else can I say? I mean, I like his design. And I think the actor did great with emulating the fifth brother. But I wish he got more to do as well. So he'll be at the bottom of the C tier for me. Next up, we have R2-D2. And he's my GOAT. He's going in the S tier. I love that droid so much. No, I will not be answering any more questions about it. Next up, we have Galen Erso from Rogue One. And he was an alright character. He served his purpose, kind of being the catalyst for why Jyn decides to go the path that she does. And, he's pretty calculated, and he's the one who made the weakness in the Death Star. So, I mean, gotta give him credit for that as well. But other than that, he didn't really do too much. So he's gonna go above Phasma in the C tier for me. Next up, we have Tala, another underrated and underused character in my opinion. I liked her in Kenobi. She kind of took young Leia under her wing, showing her kind of the ropes of how they rebel. Also helped free Leia when she was captured, and also became a good friend to Obi-Wan, which was pretty cool. And then she died, and I feel like she didn't need to die. I wish we could have seen more of her. Maybe she could have been in Andor, so she'd have a bit more of an impact on like the rebellion and stuff like that. But she was a cool character to me, so she's gonna go above Rey in the B tier. Next up, we have Ahsoka Tano from The Mandalorian, and I guess the cameo in Book of Boba Fett. And I love Rosario Dawson in the role. She does excellent as Ahsoka Tano. She emulates everything from the animated Ahsoka Tano and also puts her own spin on it. And I love it so much. I love Ahsoka Tano. She's one of my favorite characters in the entire Star Wars universe, and a perfect live action Ahsoka Tano is what we have, and I definitely appreciate Rosario Dawson for that. So she's going in the S tier for me, just above Chirrut. Next up, we have Rose, and I don't hate Rose. I don't know why she's so hated among the Star Wars fandom. She's not a bad character in my opinion. She's just poorly written, and poorly written means like I didn't really care for that Canto Bight side quest. If she did something else, if her and Finn did something else in The Last Jedi, I think she'd be a lot more loved than she is now. But she's poorly written in my opinion, and I don't know. I'm not a fan of the character, but she doesn't deserve to be hated like everybody does. So just for that, I'll put her at the bottom of the C tier. Next up, we have Bodhi from Rogue One, and he is an underrated king. He was getting it done behind the scenes. I'm telling you, they would not have won without his technical know-how, his piloting skills. He is that pilot, and he's an underrated king, in my opinion. So he's going to go above Reva in the B tier. Next up, we have Rio from Solo, also a very underused character. He didn't really even get much to do. He died on the first job, and he was funny too. So I wish he got to do more because Rio was cool, and I liked him. So he's gonna go at the top of the C tier for me. I just wish he got more to do. Next up, we have Dryden Voss. And I really liked Dryden Voss. He's another underrated villain in the Star Wars universe, in my opinion. I guess maybe not liked him as liked character, but I liked Paul Bettany's performance in Solo. He was a great villain, in my opinion, and I think he deserves more credit than he's given. So he's going to go in the bottom of the A tier for me. Next up, we have the homie Din Djarin, a.k.a. the Mandalorian, and he's going in the S tier. I think, he's been carrying Star Wars on his back for a while, and, that love isn't unwarranted. So he's going to go just above Ahsoka in the S tier for me. But, yeah, Din Djarin, man, the popularity, I mean, with good reason, too. He's such an excellent character. Next up, we have Boba Fett. And contrary to popular belief, I actually liked him in the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett turned him from a walking recycling bin with 4 lines in the original trilogy to an actual character now in, the Star Wars universe. And I can appreciate them for that. I like his character. He is cool. He is awesome. And he will continue to be. He was back then, and he is now. Let's just get that out the way. And yeah, I like Boba Fett a lot, so I hope to see more of him sometime in the future. Maybe Book of Boba Fett season 2, or maybe another appearance in The Mandalorian. So he's gonna go just below Mace in the A tier. Next up, we have Cassian Andor, and yes, I know. I guess I'm being a little bogus of judging him right before his show, but I mean, I wanted to get this out the way before his show as well, so maybe I could do an updated version after his show, including the new characters from Andor. But yeah, he's a pretty alright character in Rogue One to me. Not my favorite of the crew, but not my least favorite either. And I'm very interested to see what they do with him in this show, because I didn't think that a show about him was warranted, but it looks great, so I'm definitely open to giving it a chance. So he's gonna go in the B tier below Snoke. Next up, we have the Chosen One himself, Anakin Skywalker, and man, the turnaround, the turnaround I've had with this character. Hayden Christensen does an excellent job in the role, and he truly does emulate the turn from good to evil, and you could see it in both of his performances, and even in Obi-Wan Kenobi as well. He's such a good actor, and Anakin Skywalker is such a well-written character. How could you not enjoy watching this character on screen? So he's gonna go at the top of the A tier for me. A for Anakin. Look at that. Next up, we have Tarkin, and Tarkin, dude, Tarkin is so well played that you can't help but hate him, because he's just so hateable. His face is so punchable too. Like, I just want to punch that face of his for blowing up Alderaan. But that's how you know they made a great villain, when you just can't help but hate him. So he's gonna go in the A tier, just below Boba Fett. Next up, we have Admiral Hux, and just to get this out the way, I didn't really care for his character that much. He was just there, to be honest, and then switched sides for some reason and then died. So I mean, that's really it. He's gonna go in the D tier, bottom of the D tier. Next up, we have Moff Gideon, and when it comes to Giancarlo Esposito, you can never go wrong with him. He plays an excellent villain. A little one-dimensional, but I'm pretty sure that'll change in The Mandalorian Season 3 for sure. And I just can't wait to see more of his character, because he's great right now, and I'm pretty sure when you give him more dimensions, he's going to be excellent. So he's going to go above Fennec in the A tier for me. Next up, we have IG-11 from The Mandalorian, the loyal service droid. He did his job, even when he was a bounty hunter and a nurse droid. So you gotta give him props to that. And yes, his death was sad. I'll give it that as well. So he's gonna go above Queel in the B tier. Next up, we have Cara Dune, and it's pretty hard to separate actress from character here, but I'll do my best. I enjoyed her character. There is definitely potential to be one of the best characters in Star Wars, but then, the actress had to ruin that. But, I mean, if we're just going off of character, I would put her in the B tier, below Han. No, below Jenna, in my opinion. Next up, we have Beckett from Solo, and he's kind of a forgettable character to me. He was alright, I guess. I don't really remember too much what he did. So he's gonna go at the top of the D tier for me. Next up, we have Princess Leia Organa, as in older Princess Leia Organa, as in Carrie Fisher, and she's our princess. I love Princess Leia so much, and I'm still kind of salty that they didn't really do anything with her as a Jedi, because there was so much potential there, so much potential to make her a Jedi alongside her brother. I don't know why they didn't, but there was just so much potential there. But she's still an excellent character overall. And, I love Carrie Fisher so much. Rest in peace. She truly is our princess. So she's going to go at the top of the A tier for me. Next up, we have Yoda. And it's Yoda. How can you go wrong with Yoda? He's that dude. He is that dude. So he's going to go in the S tier. Above Chirrut for me. Next up, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, my absolute favorite Star Wars character of all time. So you know exactly where he's going. At the bottom of the F tier. I'm just kidding. At the top of the S tier. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just love the character so much. Next up, we have C-3PO. And he varies over the movies for sure. Sometimes he's funny. Sometimes he's annoying. Sometimes he's just being bogus for no reason. But, Anthony Daniels plays him to perfection, so got to give him credit for sure there. So he's going to go in the B tier above Janna. Next up, we have young Lando. Yes, I'm going to separate these just for my list. Fight me about it. And he was my favorite character in Solo for sure. Donald Glover just perfectly emulated Billy D. Williams and how he played young Lando. So he was just great in the role in my opinion. So he's going to go, I'll put him above C-3PO in the B tier. And finally, we have young Han from Solo. Yes, I'm separating them as well. And I think he did all right in the role. He wasn't my favorite, to be honest, but I think he did all right in the role. Nothing too spectacular, but I think he did all right with what he was given for sure. So he's going to go in the C tier below Baze for me. Thank you if you made it to the end of this video, because I know it was pretty long, but this is the tier list, folks. F tier, we have Jar Jar Binks. D tier, we have Beckett, Haja, Roken, and Hux. C tier, we have Rio, Poe, Baze, Young Han, Qui-Gon, Galen Erso, Phasma, Black Chrysanthemum, Val, the Fifth Brother, and Rose. In the B tier, we have Han, Young Lando, C-3PO, Janna, Cara Dune, Bodhi, Reva, Grievous, Bo-Katan, Count Dooku, Jyn Erso, Jango Fett, Bail Organa, Padme, IG-11, Queel, Kira, Tala, Rey, Snoke, Cassian Andor, and the Grand Inquisitor. In the A tier, we have Princess Leia, Anakin, Darth Maul, Chewbacca, Palpatine, Moff Gideon, Fennec Shan, Mace Windu, Boba Fett, Tarkin, Greef Karga, K2SO, Krennic, young Princess Leia, Grogu, Lando, and Dryden Voss. And in the S tier, we have Obi-Wan, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Finn, R2-D2, Din Djarin, Ahsoka Tano, Yoda, Chirrut, and Kylo Ren. So that's the tier list, folks. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to whoever made it to the end of this video. I know it was a pretty long one, so thank you if you stayed all the way. And, if you did enjoy this video, leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.